Imagine being a historical figure and somehow finding out in the future they will be making you LGBTQ plus. Well, that's apparently what Ubisoft is doing in regards to its protagonist Yasuke, who is an actual historical figure in ancient Japan. Yeah, they're making him LGBTQ plus, even though that didn't exist hundreds and thousands of years ago. In ancient Japanese times, there was no such thing as LGBTQ plus representation. But of course, in modern society, for modern audiences, companies like Ubisoft cater to this weird woke agenda. They have to have this diversity that was exposed when they're quadrupling down on their efforts with DE and I through this internal memo that was exposed by the quartering. They're going to represent people of diversity in their video games. Historical accuracy doesn't matter at this point, ladies and gentlemen. And this is coming off after they got so much backlash just from announcing Yasuke as one of the protagonists, because people have been wanting a Japanese Assassin's Creed for quite some time. You would expect a Japanese character to be one of the protagonists. No, they went with an African man. And yes, while he was a real individual, it seems like they've embellished a little bit to give him a better story to represent whatever weird agenda that they're wanting on here. And a lot of people were quite upset with it. So now Ubisoft is appearing to confirm that both, not just Yasuke, but also Naoe, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I probably am not. They're both LGBTQ plus characters. Again, this is a concern. Now, everything is a little bit ambiguous in regards to this because there was a blog post where they made a statement. They said that both of the characters' disparate personalities also led them to have different relationships and rapport with other characters, and they don't always feel the same way about people, nor do people always feel the same way about them. I guess that's a little bit ambiguous. It doesn't really specifically mention anything directly LGBTQ plus, but you could kind of read through, I guess, the hidden message here that they're gonna go that way, especially when you've seen rumors of Sweet Baby Inc. having been involved with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Who's not to say that they're not dipping their toes in here? They already apparently have an LGBTQ plus activist involved with this game as a consultant, Sachi Schmidt-Hori. Apparently she's a pretty big LGBTQ plus activist who's been hired on board as a consultant, and we'll get into her in a minute. But they are saying romance options in this game, that romantically both protagonists will also attract and be attracted to different types of people. Through the pair, players will get to experience a multitude of relationships. And yeah, I get it. Diversity, representation, put people in the games. You know, it's healthy to have a little bit of everything. But obviously, you're force feeding it in here. Because in ancient Japan, again, like I said, LGBTQ plus was not a thing. But for whatever reason, they're going the extra mile. They're putting people of color as main characters. They're putting LGBTQ plus narratives in here. All people want is an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Japan. But no, we have to have our political commentary, our ideologies shoved into here. And that's what people are tired of. Now, Sachi Schmidt-Hori, who's hired on here as an activist, she has, I guess, a history of I guess, advocating for LGBTQ plus through history. They are a professor at Dartmouth, associate professor, and she's been quoted to say she's interested in investigating how gender, sexuality, corporality, and power are represented and negotiated in pre-17th century Japanese narratives and illustrations. And she's done stuff where she's even depicted romantic relationships between Buddhist priests and adolescent boys. Kind of weird, right? Transgender sex, sexual agency, sexual orientation ideas, and weird types of stuff in her writing. And yeah, I guess modern audiences would call it, quote unquote, progressive. Honestly, I find that this type of new person that's in college teaching all these younger adults today's, all these weird, I guess, woke narratives is why we're seeing a lot of this stuff poisoning our media at this point, because video games, movies, music, TV, they're catering to these people that are coming fresh out of college with this warped sense of reality. Where in the history of Japan has there ever been any kind of LGBTQ plus representation? That's the issue right here. And then on top of that, pushing like transgender sex with young boys, and I don't know, it's just ugh. In my opinion, it's a little bit off-putting when you want video games to not be anything but fun. Video games are supposed to be fun. I get it. It's good if you have an actual character that's a LGBTQ plus individual, somebody that you make as a good character with good character traits. But with Yasuke, we're talking about an actual historical figure, and they're shoehorning sexual orientation in there when no such thing like that existed back in ancient Japan. And again, this is coming off after an alleged eternal document has been leaked by the Quartering, where they're detailed how committed Ubisoft was as a company to woke ideology, that they're quadrupling down, that they're standing for diversity and inclusion in their workplace, and that they believe there's no room for hate in gaming, which on paper, again, diversity is a good thing, but when you're trying to push all this wokeness on the people grow tired of it. People don't like this. And this is just one of many things on this game that are already hurting it. You've seen the backlash with people finding out that Yasuke is the main protagonist. You know, we want a Japan character, a Japanese man, to be a main protagonist in a Japanese Assassin's Creed. But no, we need a person of color instead, right? Then you got the whole thing with Naoe being a shinobi, and, you know, her character doesn't bother me as much. But now they're being both shoehorned in as LGBTQ+. On top of that, you got this price narrative that people are not really giving justice to. There's been a running gag that the price point is what the real thing is that we should be mad about, $130 for a collector's edition. Either way, it seems like Ubisoft has been more interested in catering to this weird progressive modern audience instead of building and making brand new stories, brand new games that are fun to play. And a lot of this is happening with companies. They're going woke, and they're finding out the hard way that the backlash is a bit much. The Assassin's Creed trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows is being disliked. These trailers are being immensely disliked. There's no way that they're not noticing this. And as a company, they should really listen to feedback. Even their Star Wars Outlaws trailer was becoming completely disliked. So that's 2 games in a row from Ubisoft that are just getting run through the mud for various reasons why. But the main reason why is because we all know that they're catering with consulting companies that want to inject and shoehorn wokeness in their video games. And that never works. And people are getting tired of it. So I saw this, and the thought that they're making their protagonists in ancient Japan LGBTQ plus characters just made me cringe deep inside, considering that this didn't exist back then. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you on the next one.